panel. Tonight we have a exceptionally outstanding lineup of guests. We're really excited to have 3 New York City teachers with us and share their experiences this past year and looking ahead to the fall. What do they think we're going to be facing? I'm sure it's not going to be very good, but I'm sure that they, like all of you out there, will come up with some creative solutions to satisfy your students' needs in terms of health and wellness. So really excited to have that lineup of guests tonight. And I want to thank you all for joining us. And as usual, we have hosting the show tonight, Chris Meckelberg, member of the 5-star PE team. Brian Hull will not be with us tonight. He's taking a few days off camping with his family. So he'll be back next week to join us. So I'm going to stay in the background where I should be. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris and let him introduce the guests and get the show rolling. Okay, Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Rich. And like I said, as every week, thank you for helping to put this on. Tonight we have three real exciting New York City teachers with us. You probably know them by Mr. K, Mr. Laue, and Mr. E on Twitter. What really gravitated me towards them was seeing the level of quality phys ed digital resources they were providing for their students via Twitter. I actually had the pleasure of connecting with them through Twitter, just showing what a great platform Twitter is for connecting with other physical educators and quality professional development now in these times. And these 3 individuals were gracious enough to come on and have a discussion with us tonight, kind of share their expertise, because they each have a little bit of different expertise to share with us as far as the digital platforms and really utilizing technology to its fullest, no matter what space you're going to be forced to teach in. And I know happening now in New York, we have a lot of new mandates and things rolling out with how we might be looking into September. And I know New York City has just put out some things. So really looking forward to getting their perspective on this whole time. So I want to give them a big thanks for taking this opportunity to come on with us. And then hopefully we could add them up to our screen. Oh, thank you. We got Mr. Gus, we got Mr. Chris E, and Mr. Kevin Laue. Thank you guys for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
No problem. Super excited. I'll just go around. We'll just go around clockwise. We'll start with Gus in the top right, and really just give us a little bit of background about yourself, anything you find interesting, anything you're passionate about phys ed wise, and really the floor is yours. So there's no time frame or anything. Enjoy.
Again, thanks for having me. So this is my 4th year teaching in New York City DOE. I was substituting and coaching badminton and volleyball on Long Island. And then I chose to go to the city, and I started out in Harlem. I was a K through 8 teacher. I was the only phys ed teacher with up to 50 students at one time in Harlem. And now this year is my 4th year, and I have traveled down closer to home because I'm from Long Island. And I'm now teaching in Belrose, Queens, which is District 26 for New York City DOE. And I'm only pre-K through 2nd grade at that school. I'm very passionate about fitness. I love to see motor movement. I'm big into heart rate and my own personal use, how heart rate could tell such a big, broad spectrum of how much effort and how well fit you are putting into the activities. I'm big, especially now with online learning, with social emotional learning. That stands out a lot. And I have dabbled into it in my classroom. But now online, I got very more personal with the students. I'll explain that a little later with different applications I'm using. Thank you.
And I know that's, one thing that you guys and really caught my eye with how you were delivering the digital content and the platforms you were using, like a Bitmoji Classroom, just really finding that way to personally connect with students, even through the screen, I think is going to be a big piece going forward, the more remote that we are. So really kudos to you guys for developing something that can really grasp students' attention and, give a sense of yourself even outside of the gym.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, I'm going next. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here today. And my name is Kevin Laue. I'm currently in my 3rd year of teaching elementary physical education for District 30 in East Elmhurst, Queens, PS329Q. I've always been a big fan of, technology. I've had a history of, gaming and streaming, and I'm just a big advocate of it. And when I decided to teach elementary PE, and just in my general personality of energy and enthusiasm, I wanted to merge the best of my character and the best of my knowledge to, make a personable and memorable experience for my students. It wasn't just a rolling the balls out thing. And I had a cooperating teacher who was phenomenal in really showing me the ideal sense of advocating for physical and health literacy. So very excited. And prior to the pandemic, Gus, Chris E, and myself have always collaborated in delivering physical education in the instructional aspect with the use of technology by using Google Slides, using the power of projection, and by using GIFs as a way of visually displaying for our students, so for them to kind of follow along and catch on and learn different skills. Hey, hello, yeah. Honestly, at the end of it all, it's really leveled up and stepped up our game into effectively delivering that type of instruction for our students. And it's always going to be evolving. And I'm glad I have these two and the Twitter world and just the collaborative resource and networking of phys ed professionals that have kind of brought us this far to this level.
I know my colleague Ross Chakrian was a little disappointed he couldn't come on tonight. You guys probably know him, Mr. C on Twitter. But he's a big fan of you guys as well. And when I said I was having you guys on this week, he was like, oh man, I got to tune in, but I wish I could be on. He's actually enjoying some family time as well. So awesome.
Ross is the man.
Now, just before we get to Chris, Gus, you went to Cortland, right?
Yes.
Did anyone else go to Cortland? Kevin, where'd you go?
I went to Queens College.
Queens
I
College?
went to Long Island University.
LIU. So when it was post, I'm assuming, or no?
Yes.
Okay. Chris, welcome. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks to 5-Star Phys Ed for having me on. And it's a pleasure to be with Kevin and Gus, during this entire remote learning process. We pretty much have talked every single day, and they've been fantastic just to bounce ideas off of and share experiences with, because especially during remote learning, we're isolated at home, and it's just been nice to still have that professional network to fall back on. My name's Chris Esquierdo. I am a New York City Department of Education teacher, District 25, 13 years at District 25, PS 163. I got the job about 2 weeks after I graduated in May 2007, and it's been a love story ever since. And I just love my school community, parents, students, even wrapping up our Google Classroom and remote learning today and tomorrow. Just getting that one last message: have a great summer. Thank you for this. We appreciate your effort. That fills my motivational tank, and I'm already filled up and ready to go for September. But yeah, very happy to be a part of New York City Department of Education. And around this time last year was one of my favorite professional accomplishments. The PLC that I facilitate for was honored with the first ever New York City PLC of the Year, which is Professional Learning Community. And that's where Kevin and I started our professional relationship. And I guess we're friends now, right, Kevin?
Yes.
And it was great to be at Major League Baseball headquarters down on Park Avenue and receive that honor. It was a year ago yesterday. And, one thing that I'll share during this podcast is, making sure you have a strong professional network is so important in order to be an effective phys ed teacher. And I'm glad that I got to meet you, Chris, on Twitter. PE Twitter is one of the best resources that have ever happened to me in terms of my professional learning. So it's great to be here with all of you.
Speaking of that, Mr. E, during college, one of my professors made it mandatory that we downloaded Twitter and used it for the PE universe. And I was like, what is this going to do for me? Like, I'll tweet some stuff in college, but that was it. And then after college, like I said, I was substituting on Long Island, so I didn't use it for about a year or two. And then once I got the job in Harlem, I was like, all right, let's use this again. And what a difference, an eye-opener, amount of resources people were sharing.
Tremendous.
It's contagious.
And yes, how, like they said, we're all contributing things, and it's pretty awesome. So if you get one thing out of this from tonight, definitely use Twitter for as your man hand, and it's right there for you. Reach out to people. Everyone's willing to share.
I'm so surprised how many people, don't actually still have it when you go to a conference or you're talking to people like this, and they'll say, oh, I should get on Twitter. But I mean, if you were to, I think they have a list of 300 must follows. And if you were to just follow those 300 people, the amount of content and ideas you would get.
The algorithm just.
I mean, it's fantastic. All standards based, and
all the lessons. It's fantastic.
That's what we kind of had a discussion a few weeks ago. We had a professor on, and he was talking about, the impact of Twitter and how it's going to relate to professional development and professional learning communities really as a whole, because that's what it is. It's a phys ed PLC just on Twitter. But, a lot of the motivation is you're finding quality things being presented because, no one wants to put out something that's not standards based or aligned or reliable for somebody else. So when you get into these, top tier educators, that those 300 that you must follow, and you guys are now on this list, you're getting what better than any conference you can go to, because you could do it on your own time at your own pace and save everything, share everything, copy everything. It's really unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing I'd recommend, since there's so much content, obviously the more people you follow, the more content you're going to come across. Save everything by adding it to add the tweet to your bookmarks, and that can just be your time capsule.
Good idea. I didn't even think about that.
Yes, I just like it and I come back to it, like, and then I go to my likes and review it when I need something.
Awesome. Now, so just going into a little bit more, I guess let's go back before the pandemic, because really this is just about you guys sharing. What did you love to do in your gym? What were your class sizes? How did a gymnasium look for you guys? What kind of technology did you have? You talked about projector systems. I know I have a sound system and projector and an Apple TV, so I can really wirelessly drop everything, which is a game changer in my eyes. So just whoever wants to start, kind of pre-COVID time in your gymnasium.
You want to go in order again? I'll go first.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So technology-wise, so I'll start quickly in Harlem. Like I said, 50 students and myself. It's definitely a little challenging, and my gym was big. So one of the best things I ever got was a wireless headset, and that was amazing. They heard me across the gym. I had staff upstairs. They'd been hearing me coming down. I would sing during class as well, and they'd be using your headset. We could hear you. Like, it just projects your voice. It was amazing. So there as well, I started with an projector onto the big screen wall. And then now where I am now, my gymnasium is it's like a mini gym. So it's like 17 feet wide by like 70 feet long. So, and I'm in the front of the school. So the one wall has all the windows and the sun comes in. So right off the bat, I asked my principal for a projector, and I was shining onto my other side. Is broken up with like art dividers that you put art paintings on as my wall. So I have the front of the building, and then this wall is set up as art displays, and the other side is the hallway for the kids to cross, because there's a classroom on the other side of my gym. Instead of walking through, make sure you put up that wall. So I would shine the projector onto that, but the light, the glare, I could barely see anything. So we started with being real basic, and we took paper and taped the window. But this bright sun still shines through that. So then a lot of my classrooms had Promethean boards. So I begged my principal, and she said there was an extra one, on the stage. No one's using it. If you want to go get it, go get it. But make sure you have people to carry it. So I tried to move it myself, and it was like 400 pounds. And then eventually I had some teachers jump in. We all moved it out of the auditorium. We got into my gym. So I use a projector. I use an Promethean board, which is awesome because no matter what time and day it is, sunny, cloudy, the kids can see it. I use my laptop hooked up to that, and I do use a lot of iPads. Each station has an iPad. Kevin could talk about that as well. Use a lot of iPads, and that's awesome because we could use, we're big into GIFs. So I could take a video of a student, make it into a GIF, and then I could Bluetooth it right to the screen, and the kids could watch the Promethean board themselves doing it as it repeats. So now we can get into the teaching aspect of it, showing the kids doing the correct movements over and over and over. It's just looping, or even showing myself sometimes doing the wrong movements, and the kids point out what needs to be corrected from the picture of myself, or even from their own perspective, seeing themselves. Class sizes, I have about 20 to 28 kids in my class. So my small space, I could definitely fit it. I was able to hold a jump rope unit with 28 kids, and not one injury happened. So definitely enough space. And again, it comes down to protocols, procedures, the kids buying in of the safety aspect of that. I do use some technology linked up with my STEM class. We have different like spark balls that roll around, and you could program them in algorithms. I didn't use much of that, but I started to demo it a little bit. I'm most likely going to be using it next year, and it will work well in the classrooms. So you could program the ball to run around, and you could play different activities with the kids with the ball moving. So if the light changes on the ball to red, they do this movement. If it's yellow, they do this movement. If it comes within 2 feet from you, they have to change directions. So that's all the technology that I'm using right now. Kevin, take over.
Oh, I think we lost Kevin's
We
sound.
lost Kevin. We lost your volume.
I muted myself.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I am currently in a gymatorium, or what they call a multi-purpose room. So ultimately what it is it's an incredibly huge space, but after a certain point in the day, fourth period comes, the folding tables come down, it becomes the gymnasium. But in regards to technology, I leverage the power of the projection screen. I use a projector to deliver Google Slides presentation to help keep flow of our lessons in collaboration with Gus and Chris E. Also using GIFs as a way of keeping constant visuals for students, especially English language learners, because I am in a heavily predominant Latino community. In addition to that, I use a tailgate speaker that I picked up from Walmart on Black Friday with a 2.4 gig channel wireless headset. Never have I ever had to project my voice ever again. I mean, I'm loud as is with the gymatorium, but it's really wonderful. In addition to hooking up your Apple Watch to playing your playlist and whatnot. And in addition to the projector, I use tablets for assessment, tablets for checklists, and also just Velcroing the tablets onto the different sides of the multi-purpose room, so that whatever I project on the main screen, it's also projecting in the tablets surrounding it. Because if I do spread out 60 students, I have students looking at the tablets on the far end of the gym. Using Discord, it's a nice streaming app. So I befriend myself with all these iPads, and I have one main host in a call. And basically, when I stream that presentation, it basically projects, to the rest of the room. So things like that, using projection, using, auditory things. Ultimately, my goal is to leverage technology so that students are able to understand, the demand on task, even if language were an issue. So that's really where it comes in. And then in addition to all that, just constantly learning. Twitter is a really awesome resource, and I'm constantly just finding more resources and collaboration. So that's really my share on like what's happening in my gymnasium right now. Yeah.
And I think, what lends nicely, unfortunately, because of our current scenario, it's not great, but now kids have that one-to-one technology provided by the district in many cases. So maybe that technology barrier, even in myself in Rockville Center, I have a gymatorium as well. And, it's being constantly used, constantly moved around and shuffled. But one thing I always wanted to do was really take phys ed outside of school, and not only just, in the fun ways that we do it, but also the serious nature of whatever it be, an assessment or a take-home project. Now having these one-to-one device capabilities and having all these iPads around, I think it's really feasible now to do something like that, streaming Discord. That's something I definitely want to add, because, not everybody maybe could see that main visual, and to have that in multiple locations really is a benefit to kids.
Yeah, it really took a lot of time to figure out, because I wanted a way to project my slides. And the cute thing was I had monitors that would go from tablet to tablet, swiping left to the next slide. But, mistakes happen, and they accidentally swipe left, or it lags. So I was thinking of a way, and then I was like, why not use Discord? Because although it's a gaming app, it has the feature to stream. So the longest part was creating, fake emails to create usernames. Yep. And then I would basically use the surrounding tablets as profiles. And then I would join myself in a server. And then my main laptop would then present, and then everyone else would just watch the live stream. So it was just like thinking, like it took a while to figure out. I was looking up, fancy software. I was like, oh my God, something so simple. So I'm glad I figured that out last year. So it's going to be more of a flawless delivery of instruction this year, this upcoming year.
And really, you probably could even do that with Zoom at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You could have different iPads logged into the same Zoom link and present that way. Any way to do that is really innovative. That's great. And Chris, how about your setting a little bit?
Yeah. My school has a full-size gymnasium, multi-purpose room, and a newly renovated schoolyard. So it's been nice. My whole school's been under construction for 5 or 6 years now. We have a dual language program, Chinese English program, and my school's just growing. I believe over 1,000 students now. When I first started, there was less than 400 students in 2007. This has been a technology wave that I've been riding this school year. Having the school being renovated, I've had my gymnasium renovated twice in the past 6 years. And that was a blessing, but also caused a lot of problems. Our Wi-Fi in our gymnasium was down for well over a year, and nobody in the city would come fix it. And my co-teacher, Joe Ancelone, specifically led the charge, making a lot of calls to whoever would listen. And by the winter, we finally not only got our Wi-Fi in the gym fixed, but they put 2 routers in the gymnasium. So we probably have the strongest Wi-Fi in all of Queens. From that point on, similar story to Gus's. Gus took his Promethean board from another area of the school. My co-teacher and I did the same. I was walking along the 2nd or 3rd floor, and we just got the Wi-Fi ready to go, and we already have our set of iPads for the gym that we got through a Donors Choose project. And I looked in one of the classrooms, and there's just a Promethean board sitting there on wheels. And I looked at it, went back to the gym, and I said to my co-teacher, Joe, I'm like, that's ours. We went right down to my administrators. She was 100% for it. And, I'm a big guy. He's a strong guy. And we just wheeled that thing right down to the gym. And it's been beautiful ever since. Similar to what Gus and Kevin have mentioned, Promethean board has been a game changer in the gymnasium, especially, like I just mentioned, I'm in a dual language school. Many students are beginner level, emerging English language learners, and they have visual learning styles. Pretty much anything in terms of a video demonstration, GIFs as well, can be projected on the Promethean board, and it just improves the atmosphere, and it just improves the students' overall understanding and their ability to learn. Similar to what Kevin mentioned with the tablets, we're big with stations because we have large class sizes. I teach anywhere between 1 to 2 classes to over 90 kids in the gymnasium at a time. And, people that are listening to this are probably saying, is this guy nuts? But if you're a teacher in New York City, you need to be adaptable and you need to be prepared for any circumstances. And the 2 gentlemen that are here with me, Kevin and Gus, are also very good at adapting. And it's just been a great experience. Technology helps us, assists us with the large class sizes specifically. And I hope we'll be able to share screens. But, I want to say that Kevin and Gus, they're the GIF masters. They did a GIF workshop in November at our Think, Move, Achieve conference. I did a workshop also, but it wasn't tech related. And from November forward, I've been probably just as GIF obsessed as they have. And we're sharing it on all our Twitter handles. If anyone out there wants to check it out, they're all over the place. And it's just a great way to have that extra tool for your phys ed classes. And in terms of student motivation, when we have all of our GIFs on the Promethean board and the iPads, it's motivating the students, and we actually have student GIFs. The GIFs motivate the students to do skills proficiently and also demonstrate safe and exceptional behavior in the gym. And students that are doing those things, we reward them by projecting them on the Promethean board and the iPads. So it's another way of extrinsic motivation. Something that we got cut short at with the COVID postponement we wanted to start to get other teachers in the building on the Promethean board, other than my co-teacher and I, but we didn't get to that point. But definitely, whenever we get back to normal, we want to try to get the custodian maybe dribbling a basketball, or get our administrators in demonstrating skills, because I think that will raise the excitement level up another notch.
Any way you could motivate students to be more active and engaged in your class is always a game changer.
Yes.
And, Rich and I always say that technology, if it's not going to make your life easier, we shouldn't be using it, especially in this day and age where technology is so fine-tuned that we really should make our life easier. So that's awesome. Anybody have experience with clickers for assessment? I know I do that in like a station, and I use the iPad for that, so I can collect that data within the lesson as well. I'm sure you do something similar.
Yes. I always have, like I said, my gym's small, so I have 6 stations. Station 6 is always the Flipgrid station. So the kids know that I made mine into magnets.
Yep.
So it's called magnets. Yeah. So my students know station 6, they answer the question, they take their magnet, they move their magnet, answer the question, then they do the activity or get water at that station. So it's pretty nice because I have 5 movement stations or 5 skill stations, whatever we're doing. Station 6 is always assessment plus movement.
Awesome. Now, just a little bit into this remote learning situation. How did it come on? What were the directives from your principal or school or district chair, I would assume, in New York City? There's some sort of phys ed district chair. If there were any really directives that came down from them, or was it really up to you to provide what you felt was best practice in this scenario? So just anything you think of that struck you over this last 15 weeks.
All right. Well, yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, when at the start of the pandemic, no one knew what to do. Everyone was looking at each other like, what can we do? Like, how do we teach PE from home or this and that? And honestly, it's, when it comes to the people that we technically work with, the Office of School Wellness, their concern was, how do we deliver a platform that's easy to use for teachers of all ages, right? How can we best deliver this to students that have no technology at home? We knew our students the best, and our principal and administration did everything in their power to get every single piece of technology in the hands of these students the first 3 days, although the 3 days we had, at least in my school. So I had known that the students had access to this technology. For me, the transition wasn't challenging. I'm sure it wasn't challenging for Chris. It wasn't challenging for Gus, because we were using Google Slides. We were delivering this type of format, in person. Now it's just remotely, but we've decided it's best to kind of deliver a video style platform of pre-recording. So we kind of jumped ship and we did that. And part of the reason why we are, I don't want to say we're leaders, but we led the trend in doing a lot of the best resource or practices or shares, is because we kind of took the leap of faith and we did it this way, and it just became so successful. And I think Chris and Gus can agree, all of the best practices we did, in person, just happened to work for us, so that we didn't really seek much guidance externally. However, as the weeks led on, we had to, kind of share, because there was a necessity of like the share outs of best resources, best practices from our online PLCs. And that's where we kind of all took charge and like saying, hey, this is what worked for us. Like, we were kind of like the, guinea pigs of the thing, because a lot of people were kind of, reaching out to us like, hey, what works? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm sure, Gus and Chris can elaborate more on it. So,
yeah.
I would second that. New York City being the biggest school district in the world, a lot of it comes down to, yes, we have our chancellor and everything, but it comes down to a lot of your principals as well. What is your principal style? What do they want? So just speaking of my school personally, we went remotely right away, and she was like, all right, here's the deal. Post your lessons, mini lesson, assessments, keep it going. If you want to go live, you can go live, but it's not New York City mandated that we have to go live. So right off the bat, like I said, I'm fluent with technology. So I started my live meets with my students right away. Week 1, I didn't do nothing. Week 2 on, there was videos being posted constantly. We go live twice a week to show my face, show their face, interactions. I didn't dive deep into fitness-based or assessments right away, which is basically social emotional stuff. Hey, how you doing? How you feeling? How's being home? Do you want to go back to school? Where are you on the mood meter today? Is technology stressing you out? just basic things to get to know each other better. I will say remote learning was a blessing for me with social emotional skills. When in school, I have maybe 5 or 6 kids that I could tell you so much about because they're always participating, always raising their hand, always answering stuff, willing to share information. Remotely, I have all the time in the world now throughout the whole day of kids responding to me, answering questions that I'm posting. So I learn more about them from being home. There's some things that we never knew if we were still in school because I didn't have the time to talk to all 30 kids every single day as much as I do online. And it's pretty cool also because with Flipgrid, at least, one of the platforms I use, the kids could see each other still. So when they post a video, for example, Kevin posts a Flipgrid or Mr. E posts a Flipgrid, I could see it. And then I'm able to still respond to them as a teacher, but as a student, I could respond to another student as well. So it's basically like we were in class, in school, but we never really left because the kids would still see each other daily, even when we weren't on live stream. They come on whenever they want. They click the application, Flipgrid. They go through it. They post their video, and they can comment other students' videos. So that's definitely a big thing, Flipgrid.
Now, did you use those live meets with your students twice a week as like an office hour check-in, or did you deliver content through there, or did you do a mix of both?
The first week was kind of like a check-in, and then afterwards it was delivering content. It wasn't something so intricate. It was something as simple as, let's do a scavenger hunt today, and each round, I'll tell you to find something. You come back, you get a point. Next round, you find something, you come back, we do a fitness activity. Next round, you're the teacher. Mr. E, what do you want us to find now? And the students are participating to go find something as well. Did a lot of yoga stuff, chair yoga. We did some different quests, following me.
Quest cards, yeah.
Yes, quest cards, me throwing a ball. As obviously we, like Mr. E said, we all adapted and improvised. We're making a sock ball, or we're using a scrunchie or something as a ball, and they were following along different movements I was doing, different quests through that. Speaking of yoga, we have Mr. E over here, who's a yoga star, and he made it. He made an awesome file for us, and he shared it with us about chair yoga. So, like we said, we all collaborated prior. We have a big Google Drive that I created from day one, and we all threw our own stuff into it. So now it's just a big teaching library for us. So I would pull things out of Mr. E that he dropped in, Mr. L dropped in, and then I would use it for that week and teach my lessons that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for remote learning, similar to what Gus and Kevin mentioned, you know, New York City is so large, and this was such an unprecedented experience that, you know, I don't think we're throwing anybody under the bus, but the principals were in charge. You know, each individual school seemed to have their own directives. You know, especially talking with Gus every day, what Gus is doing and what my school was doing, it almost seemed like two completely different things. And you know, everybody was just working so hard trying to make this work, you know, all around. And, you know, right when school ended, it was just such an eerie feeling, you know, because it's like, what's going on? But going back to the professional network, I feel like specifically Kevin was the big flag bearer for remote learning. And he kind of got us in the mindset that this is actually going to happen. You know, they're not just going to end school and we're not going back, you know, 3-month vacation for us all. Yep. And I feel like I had a 2-week head start from when the staff trainings happens for Google Classroom, that when our Google certified staff members were doing the PDs, I felt like my co-teacher and I were helping our other coworkers because we knew exactly what we were being presented already. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like that was such a great way, because I knew that the extra work that I was putting in outside of school helped me prepare for the experience. And whether it be synchronous learning or asynchronous learning, my students always rise to the occasion. And I think that has to do with the relationships that I built with them over the course of my 13-year teaching career. You know, I'm teaching cousins, neighbors, older siblings, younger siblings, and you know, the outpouring on Google Classroom was amazing. We're closing out our classrooms tomorrow at noon, but we tried to stick with everything, assessments and lessons, all on Google Classroom, specifically utilizing YouTube, because you can add YouTube lessons, YouTube videos so easy to your Google Classroom assignments. But our shared drive has thousands upon thousands of videos that these kids have shared in 14 weeks. And, you know, I know that heading into September, that we'll be able to improve upon what my co-teacher, Joe, and I have done. And it was a great experience, and we're prepared for September.
I just saw in the public chat, Megan Carey dropped her email, and just to give a little shout out to her as well. She's one of our cores, and she definitely helps us.
Hey, Meg.
Helps us with the remote learning as well, and us three thank her as well.
Thank you, Megan. Another member of the 25Q 163 PLC of the year, by the way.
Beautiful. Congratulations, Megan. Thanks for listening this evening. And I mean, to think about the size of New York City with 1.1 million students, and then, you know, Rockville Center, we have 3,500, and I could tell you all 5 of our elementary schools were not operating all on the same page.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, I think anything with more than one elementary school would be tough to operate on the same page, never mind when it comes to physical education. We did make that determination here in Rockville Center that at each of our levels, all of the teachers would collaborate and put out the same materials each week. We did that, you know, at our elementary level, it got a little hairy because we wanted our younger students to have a little bit more of a personal platform than Google Classrooms, which I agreed with for sure, but that put an extra burden on the teachers to introduce 2 platforms at the elementary level, one being Google Classrooms for 4 and 5, and then Seesaw app for K through 3rd. So by doing those 2 different platforms in the elementary level, definitely put an extra stress on the, you know, teaching staff. But I would say at an elementary level, Seesaw sounds a lot like Flipgrid in its capabilities.
That's great.
And that collaborative nature and the commenting feature and news feed on it. So I did like that. I would actually like that for the entire elementary level, and then go secondary to the Google Classrooms because it's a little more formal and, you know, rigid like a student would be at that level. But, you know, that's our decision.
Yes, I was going to use Flipgrid. I started looking at it day 1 of COVID, and then Kevin mentioned Flipgrid, and I flipped over to Flipgrid video, and I fell in love with Flipgrid over Seesaw. My pre-K in my school does use Seesaw, only pre-K though, but K through 5 in my school all uses Flipgrid because I basically kind of like instilled it onto them. And I would like to show that platform when we get a chance a little later.
Yeah, you want to do it now?
Yeah, now's a good time. We'll start with
Chris, like you mentioned, you know, the stress during remote learning. This was the most stressful and most work that I put in my teaching career, this 3 months here.
Right, 13 years in, and this is the most intense. Well, I mean, anytime you're home, and if there's, you know, other responsibilities.
Absolutely. I have 2 children. My wife's a teacher as well. It was interesting.
My wife is at PS 42 in Arvern. She's in her 7th year in the DOE as an art teacher. So
another cluster. That's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. She loves it. Loves her school, but definitely some challenging times.
Absolutely.
But Rich, if you want to take myself and Chris off the screen and let Gus have it so we can see a little better.
Let me know when you see my screen.
We can see your screen.
All right, let me just put my headphones in quickly. All right, so this is the Flipgrid homepage. As you can see, it just says my activity, and it just shows me what's going on this week. So I have 3 weeks and 2 days of videos across all my grids. If I was to show them nonstop, I have 6 different grids, 59 topics, 1,000 total views. 20,000 total views, 1,000 total videos, and 73 videos this week. So right here shows me recent videos that students just submitted. Like Isabella recently submitted this actually during we were live right now. Coming through here, here are my grids. I have my grid set up by grade, kindergarten, 2nd, 1st. This does get a little difficult, as if I wanted to look for a certain kid, I have to go through all the videos. But Flipgrid just actually made a new feature. You hit students, and then you could hit a student name. So I'm hitting this kid Ryan, and it shows me all the grids Ryan posted on. So that's a great way to just see how many assignments Ryan submitted and which ones I want to see. You could also set up your grids by each class. So kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2, kindergarten 3. I decided to put all my kindergarten together, all my second together, all my first together.
That's how we chose to do the seesaw as well.
Okay, yes. I like it like that because the other kids can interact with other kids that aren't in their class.
Is there a way to, I know in our district it was recommended to turn off that comment sharing and stuff like that. I chose to leave it on, and I really felt that was great to really build that community with the kids and get them excited about it while being out of school.
On my Google Classroom, the kids are not allowed to comment each other. That's one of my school rules. But on Flipgrid, I have the comments on. Again, I'm in kindergarten and first and second, so the parents are always usually right there with them. So the comments the kids were leaving each other are all appropriate, so I really had no issues. But there was an issue in my school a few years ago with a platform that the fifth graders are commenting back and forth. So that's why my school went that route to turn off comments in Google Classroom.
And in Seesaw, you can approve. There's an approval process for it. Do they have that in Flipgrid, or it just posts?
It posts.
There is a process, yeah.
Yeah, it posts, but you could also do the approved one, and then you could go back and delete it, and you could hide it. So like this week 2, I could hit active and hit hidden. So if this was a kid's comment, I could hide it as well.
Okay.
But I labeled each thing by weeks. So I have 14 weeks at home. I started this on basically I started this on week 2. So I was a week behind, but this is week 14. Here, this week, which is simple, it's the last week of school, you could post a video. So I posted a video about what the question was. Again, here's the question. I'm asking the students to leave a memory of what they had for this year, a memory of their favorite aspect that they did this year. Mixtapes, this is cool. So you could highlight students. If you like the video a lot, you can make it into a mixtape. So these are my favorite videos of certain students. And I could share this and the kids could see the whole tape. So it's like a highlight reel, so to speak. Disco library is really cool. This is for staff and teachers to share grids across the world. So for example, I could take this grid, pets or no pets, and use it as my question. And this lady, Paula, submitted it. Obviously mine are all private. I keep mine private, so I will not be on the Disco library, but you can use someone else's if they approve you to use it. I'll show you one video quickly and how I comment students. So my grids, let's go to kindergarten. We will go down to healthy conversations. So here I ask the students to open up the file and basically answer the questions with a video. So here, let's go down to, let's go to Michael. All right, so Michael's answering the video.
Why is it washing your hands and taking a bath important?
So he answers it, and then here's a comment you can leave. Eric just wrote simple. Great job, Michael. Your answers are great. We totally want to keep the germs away. So here, this is a cool option because you could get as personal as you want. Michael will only see this. So like on some skill-related videos, hey, Michael, this is great. You did this awesome. Why don't we try this next time? Or see how you did this. How does that make you feel? And you could have a conversation with them through this, the comment part, and you could email it right to their email. So they get it. Or you could just type it here. And whenever I type here, we'll save. And they could come back and see it at their own time. But I always hit email. And hopefully sometimes I get responses, which is pretty cool. And that they only will see. If a student comments on another student, it will come up over here with like a picture to show that someone commented on yours that wasn't the teacher. So that's just the gist of Flipgrid real quick. They give you rewards and incentives like, hey, look, you have 500 videos. Here's like a belt for you. A green circle means I didn't click the video. And then the videos I clicked, this green circle disappear. Here was that platform I said of all my accomplishments on Flipgrid. The ones that are highlighted, I obviously achieved. The ones that aren't highlighted, I did not achieve yet. It's basically like Chris mentioned before, it's basically could all be adapted on here. This is basically Google Classroom, just Flipgrid version, which I actually like better than Google Classroom. And I am back live, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, Rich will add us back into the screen. Awesome. Now for that Flipgrid, do you have other classroom teachers using that as well in the elementary levels, or is it just you? Or?
Yeah, basically I did a PD on it for my school
Okay.
and made a video for them. So basically, like I said, K through 5 is using it. Pre-K is using Seesaw.
That's
Again,
great.
it wasn't mandatory, but 95% of the teachers are using it now because how much I preached about it and how easy it was. Because in Google Classroom, I was getting tons of videos, and I have to click the video, open the video, comment the video, go back out, click the video again, open the video, and I only saw that. So now Flipgrid, I could just click one video and just keep it in X, and it's like a big collage, so to speak, a big library. And the kids can interact with each other, which is awesome for their social emotional skills.
Yeah, that would be something I would try and push for, is getting some continuity at the elementary level, and this level of interaction with the students, and the ease of it is much more conducive than Google Classrooms. I mean, it's really not feasible for an elementary student right now in its current format, for sure.
Oh yeah, elementary needs a ton of adult supervision. Parents in my school were fantastic assisting their children.
One hiccup that Seesaw had for sure was like how to add the kids to the class and make sure that they were seeing it on their end. And we had to update to whatever the pro version was when that came out as a district. So were there any hiccups like that with Flipgrid, or it seems pretty?
No, Flipgrid is a free resource. The only, I guess, hiccup I would say is I set it up in the beginning that only my school domain can access it. Okay. So what I mean by that is each kid had their own Google email address at PS133, my school. And now if I was to sign into Flipgrid and click the link that I post on my classroom, Google resorts back to the main email address on that computer. So if I was to sign in, it would resort back to my email address, karagrosispe@gmail, and not Mr. K at PS133. So they would not have access to enter my grid because for safety reasons, it's only for my school. So they have to keep reminding them, make sure you're logged into your child's or your own, if the kid's doing himself, your own email address and not your parents'. Okay. So besides that, like the first week or two, that wasn't a hiccup anymore. Just making sure you were on your actual school email address.
Nice. Anybody else want to share their screen for a little bit?
Oh, I'll share. Let me see. I have a few tabs ready.
I hate to say it, but I missed your New York City Zone Conference PD. I was on at the same time, Ross and myself, but all great feedback. And really that's what led me to the conversation with you guys here, is because, it's new experiences, and coming from such a unique setting like New York City, there's such a diversity of needs of learners that if we can get a level of best practice out to these students, we really can mimic that anywhere in the country, I believe. So that's just another kudos to you guys for working hard at it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I guess I'll kind of cover a few things. One, just to kind of share a little bit of how my space looks like. This was a dribbling activity for 4th grade. I post a lot of videos because I've linked my Twitter page to our school website. Most of these students, I believe there's only 4 in my school that aren't allowed to be videotaped. But besides that, it's really a good way for me to kind of build my 10-year evidence, and to have parents able to see their children, and to have administration be able to follow along what's going on in the phys ed space. Here's just a little share of how I deliver Flickr assessments in our cool down time using GIFs. So instead of just regular images, I would embed GIFs. This is for an older group. What part of the foot are they using for this dribbling or passing skill? And they'll hold up their plagnets, and I would go up and down, scanning away. And I have double classes. But I've kind of come down with the system. If sometimes I don't have enough time, they'll just put their answers up on the metal doors on their way out, and it's divided into 2 different doors, so I don't have a traffic issue. So this is just my Twitter page, and the Twitter kind of just also promotes a little bit of the technology we use. So I have a couple of here you were able to see a little bit of the tablets being used in the walls. So again, this is an example of a collaboration between Gus and myself, how our Google Slides would look. We found the what, why, and how template on Becky's website, cbhpe.org. Great website. If you don't know about it, check it out. tons of really useful activities. Same thing, this GIF was from a gentleman that was able to contribute onto the website. So like these are just kind of sample slides that would be projected on the walls as we were, progressing with the lesson. And it would constantly loop because I wouldn't have to go and click it. It would just play because it's a GIF. And, Gus and myself and Chris E would, share these slides and present, and see there's Gus himself doing one of the activities. And my students know him, so we'll send videos, of our students thanking one another, which is really cute, especially when we're collaborating. We're not even in the same district. So yeah, same thing with volleying. Lots of GIFs, station work. And these files are always growing. And then year after year, the plan is to kind of revisit them, edit them, but kind of keep them, running in the back, because we can only make it better. And there's really no need to reinvent something, whatever didn't work last year, we make sure we incorporate it into this year. A lot of the open phys ed activities, we would screenshot snippets of their procedures, but then would add our own GIFs into it.
So just real quick, looking at Kevin's slides again, this reminded me of Comic Life. That's another app we use for all our visuals. So like that station sign, station 3 in yellow, is made from Comic Life. So I definitely suggest all physical educators or any educator to download the app called Comic Life, and there is a teacher discount. I think it's like $20 for a lifetime. It's definitely useful for different fonts, colors, making backgrounds clear, so you could overlay it into another text and not have a white background there at it. So again, Comic Life. Yeah,
we use an empty slide to kind of hold these files, so we don't have to switch in between slides. If we needed like the same type of styling or formatting, we go to one of the slides and copy and paste it over, just so it increases productivity. So one of the shares that I plan on sharing tonight was my take on the virtual classroom and the whole trend that had been setting on Twitter, and it was really viral. Really cool. Ultimately, the Bitmoji Classroom was a Google Slides document with hyperlinks and, the interactivity of it, being able to go to other resources by clicking on, clip art. So Gus, myself, and Chris, we're like, hey, listen, this is great, but where is the education in physical education? Because what we started realizing was a lot of these Bitmoji classrooms had clickable, it was interactive. We get it. You click on something, it takes you to a resource. But it was kind of like the hint that we were getting, or the trend was, it was a one-stop shop. Here are 40 different activities. Do it for the next, 2 to 3 weeks, and how can we kind of use this to our advantage to make it more personable for our students? So when I decided to post this project up, I got on with the trend, but I wanted to create a virtual classroom, not only for the week, but it should be different because it needs to kind of follow the way you deliver instruction in the classroom, with a flow, the purpose of the activities, the lesson, the objectives. So here, I have a interactive menu. Now, all the slides will revert back to a main page. So what happens is I follow my same teaching style, right? We start off with the focus. We have a warm-up activity. A student clicks it, they have a choice warm-up. There's an option for them to go back home by creating a link once they're done. And again, before they are given this file, I do a screen recording on explaining how they should be clicking it, what is the purpose of clicking each one, with a little screen recording of myself, because they should see me, and never forgetting the importance of learning objectives, the grade level outcomes, following the city's scope and sequence, because this is where remote learning will evolve in order to kind of justify our profession, in order to kind of deliver purposeful physical and health literacy, right? We're not just now saying, hey, go to Go Noodle. This is a great activity. I know you're stuck in the classrooms, but we were able to adapt with using household objects. Chris can share a little bit about his short-handled striking unit using paper plates and rulers and tape. And we might, if funding is an issue, we might have to resort to, sending out a supply list for parents to, send in sock balls and whatnot, so students can have their own equipment kit so that it stays in their tables if we were to be, in the push-in situation. So the trend is you got to tie, the learning objectives, the grade level outcomes, the SEL components, all that into the activities you're delivering, and they have to follow this format. So students aren't just going home telling, hey, mom, dad, I just learned this activity, but they got to explain a little bit about why and the purpose of it, right? So, in addition to just delivering the learning objectives, how I would show my students the proper, during the skill application, I would use GIFs just like how I would do it in the classroom. And if I would have to, I'd create a YouTube video so they can watch, give them their options. Yes, the filming takes time, the uploading takes time. But I promise you, when they see this stuff, not only is it because it's you, they have a personal attachment to it. And in addition, they feel more at home, right? The littlest things like the background of my virtual classroom being the gymnasium itself and seeing me really feels like they're in the classroom. Like from the feedback using Google Forms and the Flipgrid, this is what the students are telling me. Go back home, the next slide. So now we're on to skills, the cues, me reiterating the importance of cues,
And I think that's something really important that you touched on is, some of the examples we saw out there in Twitter was just that. Choose your activity, click on the link, it'll take you to a YouTube clip and do that activity. But really, if you wanted to deliver this, and it's not very hard to do, you could constantly make copies of things, but each week you think you would see a new gymnasium, when you saw that with the new content standard that you'd be working on, and then the new activities to go along with that. So definitely the way to go about it, and also numbering them here, I think really tends to have kids go in order then, and then kind of follow your own lesson progression as well.
Yes,
I totally agree with the numbering. Again, I see Megan wrote in the chat, very stimulating. I totally agree. So we've been having this big ordeal about stimulating versus non-stimulating. Some good points with that is, these kids like stimulation. Video games, some games are very overstimulating, and the kids are really intrigued into it.
Roblox, Minecraft, my goodness.
So the way Kevin has his classroom set up, it does look stimulating, maybe to an adult, but a student is really intrigued into it because there's so much going on. As well as we also seen I've made a Google Classroom that was really not that stimulating as Kevin's. It was just a white background with the links, same kind of format with the links, the standards, and it wasn't as stimulating. So what's cool about the Google Classroom is you could personalize it however you like and what really catches your students' attentions.
Thank you. What I wanted to add on to this was, there's always room for improvement, right? But it just so happens my gym colors don't really go well with everything. So, I will change it. It is a learning experience. But if you kind of notice this document, while I'm in presentation mode, at no point would I ever have to exit the document. This was a big thing for me because of distraction. When I would create these, when I would see these Bitmoji classrooms, originally what had happened was a lot of these hyperlinks were added where it would just open up the YouTube page when you can clearly just embed the video using the YouTube URL. So when a student plays it, it plays it within the presentation, and it kind of decreases the chance for them to see the suggestions and all these other videos that would kind of take them out externally. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing. So every single slide really stays within the document, and the only external things are left at the very end, number 9 and number 10. This is where they would leave externally to do their Flipgrid or their Google form responses. And it works really well with Seesaw. The reason why I kind of reverted to this Google Doc delivery, the Google Slides delivery, is because I had teachers that would take this file and put it in their Seesaws just in case the students forget to go into my classroom, just to kind of cover and prevent that from happening.
Great idea.
So here's an example. I'm a big fan of Flipgrid, and this is, just one example of the responses I would get, because it's just amazing, because the students, they love seeing each other. They love commenting on one another, and, just the smiles on their faces, the hello, Mr. Laue, how are you?
Kevin, I believe that is a student's view you're looking at right now, right?
Yes, that is the student's view. I had it on because the educator view is really boring.
Yes.
This is the educator view. So this is what Gus was showing earlier, active. This is the student view. It's more welcoming. It's more fun because it's a very addicting, clicking, inviting type of ambiance you see here. And I was a very big advocate for Flipgrid. Number one, why? With remote teaching, I wanted to go live at the very beginning. And the issue was East Elmhurst was the center of the whole Corona outbreak. So for the first 4 weeks, we had sick parents. We had, families with four siblings, one iPad, and the live thing wasn't working. What ended up working was just me making the videos, and, you know, just using Flipgrid as a way for students to respond to me. Because at the end of the day, how do we assess our students? You know, the cognitive aspect is the answering and the discussion, but what about the skill application? What about the skill refinement? And with Flipgrid, you know, especially with parents being home, not only are they recording their child, it gives you a great opportunity to give the same type of feedback you would give in person, because now you see what the student is doing right or wrong. And it really kind of brings them back to the space they're used to being in, where it's like, hey, do this, you can make this better by, you know, correcting your grip this way and that way. So Flipgrid, being that it uses a video documentation, it has the feature for a quick response, quick highlight. It's super easy, super friendly, and it made my assessments a lot easier versus the whole emailing and uploading of Google Clips through the drive, then downloading, and sometimes the request for access was brutal. And that's just a little bit on my take. You know, don't forget, you know, as interactive as your Bitmoji classroom can be, how do we tie it into purposeful learning? How do we put the education back in physical education in order to deliver purposeful instruction and to really justify the profession of physical literacy and health literacy? So that's my share.
I mean, that's fantastic. Everything about it is great.
Yeah, Kevin?
My wife made one for her art classroom for New York City as well. And because she's just an art teacher, she really took it to the next level like you did. But what you can do, obviously, is add a text box behind any graphic and just send it to back. And then that would be an embedded link behind that graphic as well. So she kind of had her tablet there or a Promethean board, and the kid would tap on that.
Yeah.
And would go to this week's lesson slide kind of thing.
Nice.
So exactly, you know, the same format, but the ability to connect with kids in that way when you can't be face to face, and then not knowing the level of technology or internet connection they may have, that is, you know, really the way to go, I think. And, you know, I think a lot of phys ed teachers would love to be professionally developed on something like that through their district, but I think that's going to become on the individual teacher to take that onus on themselves to deliver levels of content like that, because coming from our administrators now is not much, you know, caring about that level is not there yet.
And the funding for professional development is probably not even up for consideration. So it's really up to you. Listen, your professional development, Twitter. Use it, because like companies like Flipgrid that would follow you back are constantly offering. Like right now, right, Gus? Flipgrid has a whole new, like a keynote of new features on the 29th.
Coming out the 29th.
It's Eventbrite. I just registered today because everyone was talking about it. So despite the fact that I have a newborn at home, I got to attend. I got to, you know, gain knowledge to drop knowledge, you know, otherwise, you know, we got to come back, right?
Speaking of knowledge, I've definitely learned a lot from Twitter and from this guy in the chat over here, public chat, Coach Garardi. Coach G, you know, learned a lot from him as well. He's all over Twitter. He has an awesome YouTube account. You should definitely check it out.
Check out Phys Ed Zone. Yep.
Awesome. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Hopefully when I hit screen share it works. Top left corner, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I really hope it's the agility ladder thing, man. Give it a sec.
Chris, you got to show us your Jiffy Canva document you made.
Yeah, I thought I had the extension. Yep, I think it's on. Yeah, BeLive Desktop has been added to Chrome. Perfect.
Okay.
Did you just do the extension now?
Yeah.
Because you might have to restart the whole BeLive thing.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
2000,
we're ready. Here we go.
2000 and late.
I'm it.
I
I'm
think
screen
so.
sharing, right?
I think so.
You're not on the screen yet, Rich.
He's coming. He's coming.
Okay.
I see
nice.
Oh, yeah.
big objects blocking the camera.
I'm good, guys?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. So, you know, definitely in terms of leveling up this year, it was technology. And it was frustrating because, like I mentioned earlier, we were kind of handcuffed because we didn't have the Wi-Fi. And, you know, I'm sure New York City teachers and just teachers anywhere, it's frustrating sometimes because, you know, your gymnasium's not your home. You know, if you didn't have Wi-Fi in your home, you'd get it fixed real fast. And, you know, at work, you got to jump through a lot of hoops. So once we had that Wi-Fi repaired, it was just like we took off a rocket. So what I'd like to show quick is something I'm very proud of. Me and my co-teacher, Joanne Salone, we wanted to just stick with Google Classroom. The less logging in and traveling around we thought was best for our school community. And here is what I've called for the past 4 years the Mr. E YouTube channel that has now migrated over to my G Suite account. And the little introduction video we have is from our award-winning Get Moving NY video contest video from last year that earned a lot of money for our school community. But our video library, we have 89 videos that we've created since the third week of March. And as Kevin mentioned before, we did everything from muscular fitness, aerobic endurance, to making their own rackets. And something that I want to preach in terms of the YouTube library, you know, memory is very precious. Our phone memory, our iCloud memory, we created a lot of things that we haven't even used yet. And it's just housed in the video library. So it frees up our personal data and our memories so we could just function as normal human beings and not just have phys ed videos and pictures invading our iClouds all the time. And I think it's a great story because, you know, starting at video number 1, we were using the Clips app. And over time, like I've said many times in the opportunities I've had to be a presenter in our online professional learning communities with the Office of School Wellness, once my co-teacher and I started with Pick, Play, Post, probably early April. The production quality just improved, and I just had so much fun making videos. And, you know, that's something important, whether it's remote learning or whether it's real life. Teachers, you need to have fun. You need to enjoy what you're doing. You know, motivation, inspiration, excitement, because we really have such a fantastic job, and we're so lucky to work with, you know, the youth and the young children today. We also housed our virtual field day videos on here. And yeah, I'm very proud of this. And I know my co-teacher Joe is. If anybody wants to take a look, just search Mr. E, PS 163, since there's so many Mr. E's out there. I think I deserve the Mr. E nickname, though, since my last name is so long and difficult to say. But definitely proud of this. And similar to what Kevin and Gus mentioned, numbering things is so simple and so direct for your students. When we would post our lessons as assignments in our Google Classroom, sometimes we would do entire video lessons. So for instance, week 3, we have a 19-minute video here of muscular fitness. It has an introduction, warm-up, transitions, tutorials, and activities, all in the 19 minutes. And sometimes we would do a chain of videos that included a warm-up, a tutorial, and 1 to 3 learning activities. So it all depended on, number 1, time, number 2, like Kevin mentioned, upload time. I mean, I probably wasted so many minutes of my life during this past 14 weeks just watching the status bars.
It gets addicting, though.
And, you know, you have to make sure when you're recording that you give the appropriate time. You know, you can't wait till the last minute. You have to be organized. Everything has to be planned. And I'm very grateful that my co-teacher and I, you know, we like working together. We respect each other, and we're on the same page at all times.
Just speaking of,
so bouncing. Yeah, go ahead, Gus.
Just speaking of all the videos we have posted between Kevin, myself, and Mr. E. Definitely the applications that we use Clips on the iPhone, we use Pick, Play, Post, and we use iMovie.
Yes.
And also one more called Video Shop. So between those 4 applications, make these awesome videos. And as you can see, Mr. E spent hours and hours to put this together. And now
it's days.
It's there.
Days.
Very proud of this.
It's
but,
there for a lifetime. I mean, like you said, memories.
Yeah, something that Kevin didn't mention. You know, yeah, Gus and Kevin and I were maybe a little bit crazy, but very motivated. But folks, we're going to use all this stuff next year. So it's like we're putting in the work now, and I do hope that we'll be able to, you know, take a step back at times next year and be like, all right, we're in a good place here. We don't have to just constantly crank out endless content because we have so much that we've done in this past 14 weeks.
Speaking of that, I was looking at our file, our COVID file we made for Google Drive, and there's so many things that we posted on there that we haven't even put out to our students.
We barely touched anything. We were so focused on creating newer things.
So
And you know, I always like to give credit where credit's due. We mentioned my buddy Coach Gilardi. He was an inspiration in terms of the videos. And you know, without Kevin and Gus, if I never went to their workshop, I wouldn't know how to do GIFs. And the funny thing is, going back to the professional learning communities, last year when Kevin was a member of my professional learning community, it was in my gymnasium. And a big thing that I've done in my teaching career with my English language students and visual learners is visual aids and task cards. And I mentioned that I'm a 13-year teacher. I have hundreds of task cards that I label stations with that have diagram, critical elements, cues, and instructions. So students can include language acquisition, reading comprehension, and also independence while in physical education. They don't always have to ask me for instructions. And I know Kevin took those task cards and then he made them into GIFs. And, you know, he helped take me to the next level in terms of technology. So now not only do I have the paper task cards, but we have GIFs on our devices and our Promethean board. And this is just something called the paper workout. You know, everybody, you know, if you search paper workout on YouTube, there's probably 700 teachers that are jumping over paper. But, you know, this is using Google Slides and incorporating GIFs, and pretty much any agility ladder movement that you've ever done, you can do with the 4 or 5 paper agility ladder.
And again, just for our viewers, for GIFs, we used an application called JiffyCam. You can get it from the Apple Store, and I think Android has it as well. And also, I'm a big fan of you videoing yourself with your regular camera and going to easygif.com. It's the letter E, Z, gif.com, and you can upload the video there, and you can make it into a GIF as well.
Yeah, I don't use EasyGIF, Gus, but I'll pop that up because you can see I have it in my bookmarks. Yeah, so this is just one format of paper workout is the agility ladder. I have 1, 2 paper workouts. If you're a New York City teacher out there, and also Chris, I don't know if you're familiar with Move to Improve, but that's a initiative in New York City incorporating movement in the classroom. And I know many phys ed teachers incorporate Move to Improve into their physical education program. So I have an entire Move to Improve set of Google Slides. And you can just have one slide be a warm-up activity for your students. And, you know, we could be here all day talking about GIFs, but if you click on Insert, then you go to Image, and Tech Guru, Mr. Laue, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to Image because GIFs are not videos, they're animated images.
Correct.
And you're going to click on Upload from Computer, and wherever you have your GIF saved, you'll travel through that, travel to that file.
You drag it in and it'll upload. And,
you know, Kevin mentioned, Gus mentioned Comic Life, something that all 3 of us use, but all my fonts here are just word art from Google Slides. So if you don't want to pay for Comic Life, you can get pretty comparable fonts and graphics here on right here in Google Slides. And you know,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just relating back to real world phys ed, you know, because this 14 weeks doesn't just define our whole year. We had way more time in our gym. These are the GIFs, and this is just basically on a white slide. This is when my co-teacher and I were just figuring it out. And these are all students participating in different push-up, lead-up stations and muscular fitness stations that they absolutely love.
Parallel bars. I like that one.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to, I have Libert Fitness dip stations, but I'm not paying for them for phys ed. So if you want the best rip-off of Libert Fitness dip stations, email me and I'll tell you exactly where to go. But yeah, this is with those beautiful Comic Life graphics. And this exact GIF board, as my co-teacher and I call it, will be playing on our Promethean board. If you have a projector screen, you have it projected on your projector screen, and it's on the entire time the stations are on. So students constantly have that visual reference at any point. And this is something that Kevin and Gus have shared with so many teachers, and it's great. We collaborate, and we all have this pretty much the same equipment in terms of technology. So it's pretty easy to collaborate together. It's not like only one of us has iPads or Promethean boards, and we're collaborating with teachers that don't have that stuff.
Just
Pretty much.
for financial issues, some of you, our viewers, might be saying, well, these guys are gifted. They have so much technology. Their principals gave them all this money. We could agree to that. We have been given money from our principals to purchase stuff like this, but as well as we all reached out to different organizations. We've done many donors' choices. I've done 5 donors' choices now between my 2 schools, and I probably allotted over $7,000 of stuff just through donors' choose. So there are ways to get money, even if your principals do not have it or it's not in your budget, so to speak.
Yeah, and real quick to piggyback off Gus, I've been calling myself a grant monster. My co-teacher and I have raised over $20,000 in the past 18 months in terms of grants. Donors Choose, goodsports.org, all the Get Moving videos that you've seen PS 163 in the past 3 years, winning New York City Zone last year and finishing second in the state. That's thousands and thousands of dollars, that aren't going into our pockets. It's for our school community, and it's to improve our physical education programs. And, Gus is a 2-time School Wellness Council grant recipient, and Kevin and I have gotten that grant in the past. Getting a couple $1,000s is life-changing for many of our programs. So you just have to be prepared and organized, and you need to be aware of all the grants that are out there. And if you don't submit an application, you'll never know. My co-teacher just heard from the New York Islanders for spring 2021, we're getting another New York Islanders floorball set.
I second that. I'm getting my first, and my co-teacher who teaches 3 to 5 is getting his first as well, because we recently reached out to them literally 2 weeks ago.
And it's crazy. It's the end of this remote learning cycle. You're physically, mentally exhausted. You're stressed, but here we are. We're still securing grants for literally 12 months from now, and we don't even know if we're going to be allowed to use that stuff 12 months from now. But you have to strike while there's opportunity.
It's definitely out there. It's not going to come to us. You have to go get it.
Yep. And before I stop my share, this is easyjif.com. I don't use this. I stick with Jiffy, but this is I rather the group out there just see the website before I close out. There's many different ways for you to create your technology. You're going to make mistakes. There's learning curves, but it's all the stuff that you've seen from us is stuff that we are proud of, and it features us and our students. And I think that that's powerful, that it's us and our students, not us showing videos of people that, our students never met. So thanks for the opportunity to screen share.
Thank you. Well, just a couple things to touch on. All 3 of you, awesome, and thanks so much for sharing. I'm sure a lot of people who will view this know you guys and maybe have seen this already, but for those who haven't, obviously a robust amount of knowledge between these 3. When you really think about what you're delivering to your kids in this remote setting and possibly what you deliver to your students in the gym, you hope you have that reputation, because that's what we're going to need now to keep us in the gymnasium, keep us back coming to school in person, and not make phys ed an entire remote course for the rest of its duration, or until things return to what normal hopefully is. So definitely the more you can do now, and like you guys have done the hard work about grants and getting funding like that, it doesn't go to waste, because your principals know the importance of that. And then especially in this time when they are faced with that decision of, where are the cuts going to come from and how can we manage a school building returning? I would think as a principal, one of the most important parts would be having our kids physically active throughout the day, especially when you're in an inner city area and maybe some of those students don't have the areas to play at home and be able to really explore what they can and can't do with their bodies there. So in order to get back in the gym, you guys have built that foundation, but anyone else out there, when you were talking about money, look in the technology funds. Sometimes principals have a lot of money there for Promethean boards, whatever. Justify yourself, like these gentlemen have done, through the use of their Google Slides and all that they've created. And really, it comes down to classroom management pieces. When you put that up on the Promethean board or the projector, now I'm not managing the classroom. The classroom's managed by the technology, and I can go have those conversations.
One-on-ones.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's what I've been trying to add on this entire time was, it's a small investment of time in learning Google Slides and learning GIFs, right? The turnaround is when you're in a situation where you have double class sizes and you're usually by yourself because whoever is the para or the aide is, with their one-on-one student. Now you have this autonomous learning happening where, back then your typical poster of critical elements is just a poster. But now students, are programmed to resort to asking for help by referencing the GIFs and slide prior to approaching you. And which is one less step for you to worry about, but like one more step for you to approach every single student, at least as much as you can prior to the end of the period. So you can give them the one-on-one attention that they deserve in that short amount of time, because now you're deterring the traffic. And it's been really effective in our classrooms, at least in person. But even with Google Slides now, the interactive aspect of it and just the delivery of our message and content, still very effective. And really, it's just one platform, Google Slides, so far for the majority of it. You just learn it a little bit. Plenty of resources on YouTube. How to create a Bitmoji classroom, how to make an Animoji. If you just type in the word how to and whatever you want in YouTube, the resources there, the videos are there. Just a little investment in time and you'll be able to do wondrous things.
If anyone has a chance, one of you gentlemen, if you have the specific name or maybe a link to those grants, if you could post it in the chat to help Romeo out a little bit, or the names of those grants. And just thinking about grants and funding now, theoretically, our schools, our state, and New York City as a whole should have gotten some relief funding from the CARES Act and hopefully what's going to come out next. Yeah, right. And with that money there, that is supposed to be getting us ready for a situation that we might fall into again in the future like this. So, you guys would be in an easy position to advocate for phys ed getting some of those funds, I would think. But any phys ed teachers out there listening to that, know that there should be some funds in order to get maybe even some of the basic level technologies that you would need to help deliver your message better, help make it a better learning environment for your students, and then ultimately make it easier on yourself to really deliver quality content. Hopefully we have some kind of resources there for us at the phys ed level, but it's going to take us advocating for it, just like you guys are always doing. Well, I think you guys have done an awesome job, and I want to thank you again for coming on tonight.
You. This was great.
Thank you.
It was really our pleasure. And maybe if we're still doing this over the summer and you guys get a little clearer picture on what your schools are going to look like in September, you could come on in July or August and share some of your thoughts opening up the school year. We'd love that.
Sure. Chris, I just want to add something. I see Romeo. My chat functions frozen. Yeah, I can't add anything.
I want to throw in a little bit of advice
on DOE, but it's Good Sports Inc.
Yes.
Donors Choose. New York Islanders floorball, Junior Rangers floorball, and there's New York State AFERD has their first grants. I believe they're introducing in the fall.
Chris, what's the yogurt one again?
Oh, Dannon.
Yeah, Dannon.
NFL Field to Play 60 gives you flag football kits. Honestly, Donors Choose is the platform that you want to have set up in the very beginning of the year, because funding takes time, donations, do it around the holidays, keep your budget, keep your requests, try to keep it below $200, $300, make it achievable for yourself, and do more
social media.
And use social media. Now, in regards to equipment, your biggest target is organizations, because if you go to any sports team's website or any movement or any organization, there's usually a community tab and there's usually a representative with an email contact, and that's your start. Reaching out, hey, my name is so-and-so. Yeah. Are there any opportunities you can point me towards or people to reach out to where I'm able to maybe receive equipment or funding from my school? Like,
especially the professional sports teams.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I recently, but every year I get about 400 to 500 tennis balls from these guys at the Veterans of Foreign War office in my town, my community, because they play at the USTA like every day, and they can't seem to get rid of all the tennis balls. So they end up taking them, and then they go dropping it off at the schools in our district. So we get garbage bags worth. Little things like that. It's just a matter of, cold calling and just being comfortable in just reaching out to people, because again, money is out there. You got to go get it.
Especially real quick, they mentioned donor shoes and using the internet. So I had my donor shoes up, and I made it up. It was up probably for like 5 months. I didn't promote it much, just seeing like who goes on to donor shoes, because you could donate to anyone. Once we went to online learning, I put it into my stream, just so parents could see it. And literally within an hour of it being on my Google Classroom, I've received $500 from my family and my community just donating, because they saw what I wrote about it, why I need it, why would I like to have this equipment, and the parents donated. So definitely donor shoes, and definitely put it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any platform.
I mean, your school PTA is usually very supportive, but a lot of people forget. Do a couple of fundraising nights, Zumba night, a PE night where you're showcasing with different stations, and, just to, number one, promote yourself. Number two, make the message that there is a need and why the need is so important by showcasing what you're doing for the student. Mm-hmm. And I've done several of those. My parents, cash, because that's just how my neighborhood works. If we need a donation, they're more comfortable just giving me a $5 bill than trying to figure out how to pay online or do this and that. So depends. Know your family, know your community, know what their needs are. Yep.
Yeah, and Chris, before you close out, you said one of the most important words, especially for this week with the thunderclap: advocacy. New York City, I'm specifically talking to the New York City teachers here, because we're all in the same boat. You have to advocate for quality PE, advocate for yourself in your building, and then in the larger umbrella, Dr. Chris, everyone in the chat, together we're the team, and we all have to advocate for ourselves to the state to make sure that phys ed is where it should be, because we're professionals and we need to advocate for phys ed and for ourselves.
What is your why? Remember that. What is your why?
I know New York State just the other day on June 23rd, which is our election here, as a New York State AFERD organization, Shape New York, we really went full force to contact our governors, state, local representatives in a formal way, just reminding them that not only is phys ed a mandate here in New York State, which we can't possibly touch or change, but during this time, more importantly than ever, students need that outlet, that physical release, understand how to coping skills that can come from activity, and then thinking about the levels of activity that the kids can be engaged in. So it's really a whole cycle of movement that we need the kids to be involved in on a daily basis. And New York State's doing a great job. And this is a little more New York City teacher talk. I think the New York City teacher survey just went out today for your feedback. Pretty pathetic 5-question survey. If you ask me.
8 questions.
Oh, 8?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. But
sure.
My initial thoughts with, ranking your priorities of what needs to be in school, and you can choose 3 out of 5, I would think that, any type of one-to-one remediation is easily done in this format online. So that would need to be done in school. And then a lot of my thinking is that everything we do incorporates social emotional learning every day in the gymnasium. Why are we going to get that out as almost a separate subject now and make sure that is embedded in school and not a specialty area subject like art, phys ed, and music? That's part of our lesson and has been for a decade now. So to put that question out just shows that they obviously don't know what we do. So we need to show them what we do again. And
also, Chris, promoting that physical education as a core subject.
Right.
It'll get done at some point in our teaching career.
Well, thanks again, guys. And next week I have another colleague of yours, Jim in the Gym, coming on.
Jim in the Gym.
Legend.
So I'm excited to meet Jim. I know Ross has been in contact with him through Twitter, so he knows a little bit about him, but Jim is new to me, so I'm excited about that. And once again, thank you to HeartTech Plus. So HeartTech Plus is an optical heart rate monitoring company. I've used them for 4 years. The entire 5-star PE team uses them in their districts, and so does the Hull brothers out in Denver, Colorado. Yeah, we've been using them for a number of years now, and what's really exciting, of course, they've always had the group platform that we use and project in our gymnasiums. So when you think about projecting something and really increasing its impact across students and keeping them engaged and giving you that effort, if you can incorporate any kind of objective measures, whether it be accelerometers, pedometers, or heart rate, and then to take it to the next level and put it up on the wall for Jim in the gymnasium, and that level of accountability and really connecting to the whole child has been amazing with HeartTech. And what is great now is ever since this has happened, we've really made a plea to them of saying that we need something that's going to be succinct for both in the gymnasium and at home, no matter our situations, because I believe everywhere in New York State will have some level of blended learning next year. So there will be a remote piece and a physical piece to it. But being able to collect data outside of the school in an easy way in a home application that's going to sync back to a teacher portal. HeartTech has taken that initiative and has done full force on that since February and is ready to release a brand new at-home app in early August. So we'd be excited to share that information with you guys as well as time goes on, and anybody else who's interested, give HeartTech Plus a look up online. And thanks again, Rich, for hosting us tonight. And
Thank you, Rich.
I think we're good to end our live broadcast, Rich. Thanks a lot, guys.
Awesome. Take care, everybody. Have a great summer.